What's happening is Jimmy from odds.com. I have two games that I'm attacking. One at 8 p.m. Eastern, Kings Blues, and then I have the late game on the card, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks. To check out the entire show, hit the link on the bottom of the screen. It's available exclusively on odds.com. We move on. The next stop on our card is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Wild at the San Jose Sharks. See what we are dealing with here. This is the last game on the card. The total opened at over 5.5 at -125. It's still there, but quite noticeably, a couple books have moved that to 6. But the other books have kept it at the -125 spot. From the money line perspective, this Minnesota Wild team, road favorites, open up at -120, shoot all the way up to -140, between -140 and -160. And I got them at -150, and I got them last night, again, at like 9 o'clock at night. Those people who hammered that opening line at -120, I mean, very fortunate. But for the legal licensed openers, it didn't open at that spot. Let's see what it did here. We got the Bet365 opener, and I'd be surprised if I missed it, was -150. So because I was waiting for it. As soon as it dropped, I attacked it. So it makes sense to me. But I'm taking them on the -1 line. I will not take anything over -135, and I'll rarely do that. -1, I'm getting at +108. Now, I've seen legal licensed books like Sports Interaction, that's available in Jersey and in Canada, hang a +129 on the Wild -1. I build it with a -150 and the +170. It gives me a +108. I'm also on the over 5.5 at -125. Wild are 8-6-0, 5-3-0 on the road. San Jose Sharks 7-7-2, 1-1 at home. Only 2 games at home for these Sharks. Kaapo Kähkönen 5, and we know why. Remember, there was no in that county in San Jose. They weren't allowing any kind of games to go on, and that's changed now. So they're going to start playing a bunch of home games. Kaapo Kähkönen 5-4-0 in between the pipes for the Wild. 2.46 goals against average, 911 save percentage, no shutouts, and he's been excellent. And they've needed him to be, because they lose Cam Talbot, they lose Alex Stalock, and he's held the fort for them. Martin Jones, I expect to be in that for the Sharks. 6-4-1, 3.65 goals against average, 882 save percentage. How he still has a job, I don't know. I can't. The decisions that Doug Wilson makes, I think are bad. Look, this guy was a great defenseman, a likable guy. How many years are you going to let him mess up this franchise? The Wild special teams are what you would remember from this squad. Penalty killing excellent, 86.5%. Power play terrible, 7.7%. That power play is going to improve quickly, and we'll talk about why. Sharks power play 16.7%, penalty killing 76.7%. All of a sudden, this Wild has a very strong offensive group. What's changed? Let's start with that. First, a healthy Matt Zuccarello. As soon as they picked him up at the trade deadline last year, he got hurt. This guy has not played enough, and he's a sniper. I mean, we remember him in that Rangers uniform. He's a sniper. He has 3 points in 3 games since he's returned. He plays on the line with Kirill Kaprizov, and Kaprizov is incredibly gifted offensively. 23-year-old. He's come over from the KHL. If the Calder Trophy finalists were announced right now, he'd be one of them with 11 points in 14 games. In last 2 years for CSKA Moscow, he scored 63 goals, 30 goals 2 years ago, 33 goals last year. This guy is a sniper. Their first line, so that's their second line. The first line is tough to play against. You got Joel Eriksson-Ek, who's probably not good enough to be your number 1 line centerman, sure, but he's got Jordan Greenway on the left side, 6'6" Jordan Greenway, punishing, tough hockey player, and then you got Kevin Fiala on the right side. Kevin Fiala is a Corsi darling. His Corsi numbers rank him as the 8th best right winger in the National Hockey League. That leaves you with a bottom 6 of Zach Parise, Ryan Hartman, Marcus Foligno, Nico Sturm, Nick Bonino, and Nick Bjugstad. Wow, that is depth. On defense, they have Ryan Suter, Matt Dumba, Jared Spurgeon. Dumba was hurt earlier in the year. He's a power play specialist, and you can do a bunch of different things. But you split up those 3 defensemen, which is what they've done, and you have one of those guys on the ice for the entire hockey game. They completely dominated the Ducks Now, I know the Ducks are a weak squad, but they're feeling good about themselves. They're in California. They can't go out because of COVID issues. I just think they keep rolling here. They outscored the Ducks 8-2 in the last 2 games. Let's talk about the Sharks. A weak squad. Logan Couture, great player. I expect him to be on the 2022 Canada team. They have Thomas Hertl on the second line. He's on the line with Timo Meier and Latvian Rudolfs Balcers. Balcers came over from Ottawa. I don't know that much about him. I've looked him up on HockeyDB. I don't have huge expectations for him, but obviously this weak Sharks team does, putting him on the second line with Meier and Hertl. And Hertl and Meier, we've been waiting for them to step up and possibly be elite forwards, and they have yet to do that. They've shown flashes, but they have good enough Corsi numbers to believe in them. You have Kevin Labanc on the one side of Couture and Evander Kane, who's dealing with all this financial crisis he's put himself into. And their top 6 forwards aren't bad. Their bottom 6 forwards are very weak. And their defense, now missing Erik Karlsson and Radim Simek, is very weak as well. They can still score goals. And their power play at 16.7%, I expect to improve, even with Karlsson out of the lineup. But they're a bad hockey team, and the market knows they are. You're not going to get rich fading the Sharks. In fact, it's best for you to pick the spots to back them because they're 7-7-2. But this Wild team is rolling. I don't want them here. Don't want the Sharks here. Want the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild -1 at +108. Over 5.5 at -125.